Hey everybody out there in Grip World, this is Napalm Jedd Johnson, and I'm joined with Alan Hynek, and this is episode 61 of This Week in Grip. First and foremost, going off of last week's episode 60, I want to thank everybody for the comments and messages that you sent in about the gym that I've been working on. I'm really excited about it, and we're getting, we're making strides every single week. And again, I couldn't do it without my friend Luke Raymond. He has been amazing. So I just want to thank everybody for all of the thoughts that everybody has expressed with the developments of that gym. Lots of people saying they want to come up and see it when it's ready, and by golly, we're going to do that. This is This Week in Grip. I just looked at the hashtags, Alan. We're up to over 1,800 uses of the hashtag This Week in Grip, 1812.
Yep, that's about 50 over what we had last time. So it's steadily rising, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure, and that's huge because if anybody clicks on that This Week in Grip hashtag, then what that can do is that can open up a really just access to tremendous amounts of feet videos and grip sport stuff and grip training and articles and stuff like that on social media, and it really does show how many people we have involved in this and how fast it's growing. So I appreciate everybody doing that because after all, the first rule of grip sport is you talk about grip sport. Just want to tell everybody that currently on the site, today's the last day, I got a $10 DVD sale going on. Shipping is the same price no matter how many you buy. I think there's like 6 or 7 titles up there. They're just $10 a piece. Some of them, everybody's already burnt through the stock that I had in inventory, so they're going to be coming right from the printers, but that's going to be up through today. So go ahead and take advantage of that right now. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you are notified when there's new videos that go up. Make sure you click the bell on your mobile phone so that you get a notification on your phone every time a new video goes up. We're going to be talking about some stuff today that we want to hear your thoughts about, so please go ahead and leave a comment sometime during the video. Don't forget to like it. That helps out the video a lot for being presented all over YouTube. It's been a while since we talked about that, so make sure you like the video. If nothing else, like the video. And if you like what we're talking about today, be sure to share it. I know that Dustin McFarland has shared a lot of these in the Northwest Grip Enthusiast group on Facebook. Every time I see it, I say thank you, and I really appreciate that because it helps spread the word about grip sport, my YouTube channel, and just shows that what we're doing it's really popular, being received real well. Also want to remind everybody to go to the Grip Sport IG Instagram and follow that. The grip games are going on this week currently with plate flipping, so make sure you take part in that. That's something that you don't need any special equipment for, so make sure that you do that sometime soon as well. That's Grip Sport IG, and check out the hashtag The Grip Games. Some cool stuff going on there. Like I said, I'm joined with Alan Hynek today, and I guess there is a rumbling in the world of grip sport. There is some kind of Brian Shaw controversy that's going on in the grip board, and that's going to be what we focus on today in episode 61. So, Alan, why don't you just tell everybody, myself included, what exactly is going on, because I haven't even seen anything about this, buddy.
All right. So this was, I think, the video itself posted from Brian Shaw on his YouTube channel, probably, I think this week or maybe end of last week, where it showed something about, incredible grip strength. It showed him doing some strongman training. He was doing a yoke walk, and at the end, when it came time to unload it, he just had kind of this impromptu grip challenge between himself and the rest of the guys that were with him. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 other people there, and where they took a 45-pound Rogue bumper plate and tried to flip it in the air and catch it. Mm-hmm. And the majority of the guys, they kind of went in sequence, and I think a couple guys came close. Most of them missed it. Brian Shaw stepped up, flipped it, repped it 3 times real easy, just from lockout, flipped it in the air, end over end, caught it, and then just set it back down. It looked like something he could have done for about an hour if he wanted to. I think one other of his training guys then stepped in. I think he might have come close. He might have hit it for a couple reps, 2 or 3 or something like that. Then they made their way into his garage. It seems like Brian Shaw, that's kind of his main training facility. It's actually right at his house where he does all of this stuff. So they walk into his garage where he has this blob collection kind of tucked out of the way, and he rolls out the Fat Man blob where a couple guys take some cracks at it. And, of course, it looks like how it does for most mortal human beings. You know, you reach down to pick up this 50-pound object thinking it's going to be nothing, and it's just like it's glued to the floor. You know, it's like a piece of the flooring. Just couldn't do anything with it. Well, then Brian Shaw naturally reaches down and picks it up like it's full of helium, you know, sets it back down. Then he rolls out the Gigantor blob, you know, the half of a 145 York Legacy, and again reaches down and just picks this thing up effortlessly and then sets it back down, you know, as if these things are just hollowed out inside. So on the grip board then, so Tanner Merkel, he sees this video, posts it on the grip board, and just kind of briefly remarks about, you know, Brian Shaw's insane strength. And then it turned into a discussion of what would happen if Brian Shaw showed up at a grip competition or started training his grip seriously. What kind of things we could expect. Yes. And I mean, to me, this is one of those dream thoughts, you know, it's like, you know, what would happen, right? You'd love to know, you know, would he come in and completely rewrite all the records as was speculated by some, or would he, you know, kind of perform great in some areas and not so much in others? And anyway, over the course of it hasn't even been up for a week yet, but that thread on the grip board is already about 6 pages long, and there's been 130 replies. And there's been a number of different people have weighed in on it. You know, Mike Rinderly was one of them, Joe Sullivan, Tommy Jennings, Mikhail Severson, who generally likes to weigh in on topics like that, chimed in. And even, you know, Paul Savage, a few other guys, Gil Goodman, and they all had, well, there was some varying, some considerable different opinions there. Let me try to get this brought back up on my phone here. Get it back to the original, see what it refreshes to. Still 1 of 6. I guess I'll scroll in a little bit and see what where things are as far as the official tally of people that have responded to this right now. But anyway, some of the opening discussion was that, you know, if Brian Shaw were to show up at a grip competition, that he would basically destroy, you know, every event and start breaking records, and it wouldn't be any issue whatsoever. That was kind of the main thought going in. And then there was a little discussion about how that might fit into some other things. So now I do personally have some opinion on this. If you want to hear my thought first, Jedd, or if you want to go. I know you've probably been exposed to this question or this thought more through the years than I have. So you might have some hard stances on this.
So right now, I've heard this come up about Brian Shaw probably a couple times already. And then before that, I want to say it was like Mike Burke that people would talk about. Rich Williams' name, I think, was thrown around in this regard. I think there was somebody else, like Sadrunas Savickas may have been brought up at one point, and how he would just destroy all the records. So, yeah, this is something that comes up every so often. And I think it's come up more often with Brian Shaw because I think Brian actually enjoys doing grip work. And plus he seems to be somewhat aware of some of the grip standards. I honestly, dude, I didn't know what we were going to be talking about today because I haven't been on the grip board in that section for quite some time. I actually thought we were going to be talking about a video that came up with Brian Shaw and Brian Alsrew that came up recently. I didn't know if maybe that was what we were going to be talking about, and maybe we can touch on that later on. I don't want to get too far off.
Well, sure.
This one,
yeah, no, that plays along with it too, because that, I think, in my mind, revealed a little more information that kind of would shed a little bit more insight on this even.
Yeah, so. So, but no, you go ahead and so give me the rundown, man. What do you think? It's very interesting. I'm interested to hear what you say, what you have to say, and maybe I'll coin in or chime in every so often. Go ahead.
Sure. All right. So from what I've seen of Brian Shaw, he's done a lot of impressive things grip-wise. Nothing event-specific, so to speak, but his general type things. You know, we've seen him pinching the 245s, and this was effortless for him. You know, we've seen him hubbing shallow 45-pound plates with weight added. Again, very easy. You know, inverted dumbbell lifts, lifting, well, the Gigantor blob, the thing ultimately named after him. That really, I mean, I know there's not a lot of these out there, but the reality is there's probably not too many people other than him that can lift that.
Right.
What else we've seen? We know his thick bars up there. I mean, the guy can pick up inch dumbbells without any problem. So we've seen what his base strength is. He's also well aware of what's involved with grip training. He seems to actually take it quite serious, in my opinion. You know, he's aware that, you know, if it was something that he did too much of, he could run the risk of injury. So he spaces it out. He's very systematic and thought out about it. So I think, you know, with just what I've seen, I think certain events he would absolutely come in and dominate without question. At least from the overall record standpoint, you know, I think the axle, you know, deadlift would be right up his alley. I think I think potentially the Euro, that's kind of a trickier one, but I think the Euro pinch, two-hand pinch in one hand, he could easily take the world records on. And the hub type lifts without a question. There's probably some other ones in there too. Perhaps the V-bar, things like that. We might see some higher numbers get lifted on that. My thought is that it's one thing we do see universally throughout grip is that you'll have guys that might be awesome at a group of things, but then there's some other events where they tend to struggle with a little bit, no matter how much training they put into them. You know, So we might have a guy that kills it on thick bar and pinch, and then can't hub to save his ass, basically, right? We've seen that. So I would think he could come in and potentially take, you know, overall records on the lifts for sure in his weight class. And but I don't know that he would necessarily be breaking them across the boards, though. I think we would see some differences in there. I think some other competitors might have him beat in certain areas. On some of the more fringe type things and the things that it seems like events are built almost for these people, like Jerome Bloom, for example, and what he does with like the shallow hub pinch and things like that. You know, he's destined for greatness on that, and I'm not sure we'd see a guy, no matter what his size and strength, kind of get there on some of those smaller things. So
sure.
That's my thought. So I think overall from the big lift standpoint, I don't think there's any question. I think you'd absolutely crush it. Grippers, I don't know. Grippers are a weird one. This guy might have so much hand material that he might have a hard time squeezing it without getting some palm squash in there. I don't know. So that's my thought on that one, I guess. But
those are awesome points what you just made there. I think first and foremost, I think a guy like Brian Shaw is why we have weight classes.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's not going to wipe out all the records because the records are set up in a way so that the people in the light weight classes can beat the upper weight classes, but the upper weight classes can't beat the lighter weight classes. So he would be in the 120 kilo plus weight class only, unless he did a severe cut, which I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon.
Right.
I'm not sure he can get below. I don't think he's ever been, you know, 16 years old or young or older and been under 120 kilos. So I think all the other lower weight classes records are safe in that regard, but that kind of goes without saying. There are definitely some lifts that are extremely technical. So I don't know if this was the statement that was made. It's what I heard. It's not necessarily what you said or whatever, but if Brian Shaw showed up to a contest and just did the events, I'm not sure that he could win every single event, and one of them would be the Euro. And the reason I say that is because if you remember back in 2010, I believe, I happened to cross paths with Phil Pfister, who was the 2006, I think, World's Strongest Man. And I beat him on Euro when he came to my house and trained. So I don't know if you know that, but he could not do. Yeah, did you know that he came to my house in 2010?
No, I never. I didn't know about that at all. I don't even think I've seen a video. You must have training footage of that, but I haven't even seen a video of that.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I did not take the video camera out because I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
I was
okay. Fair enough.
So here's the story, Alan. It's when I first started working online as my main gig, no actual job, right? And I was trying to turn over a new leaf and get my driver's license renewed early, because I'm notoriously late with that kind of stuff. And the time before that I needed a driver's license update, I was driving illegal for like 2 weeks before I even knew it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen. So I went early, like 2 months early, for my driver's license. And on the way back home after getting it done, I said, you know what? I'm going to go out for lunch. I never go out for lunch. So I stopped and had Chinese. I never eat Chinese all alone. I never go out and eat alone. It was like the perfect arrangement for the right circumstances. I get done eating. I walk outside and I see the longest shadow in the parking lot of the Great Wall Chinese buffet that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, who the hell is that? And I look, and in the coolest purple collared shirt that I've ever seen was none other than Phil Pfister.
Awesome.
Walking right towards me. Right directly towards me. And I stood right there at the door. I held the door open. I said, Phil Pfister, how you doing? He's like, hello there. Now, he had no idea who I was, okay? No idea.
Sure.
So I was like, you've come to the right place, sir. This is great. It's absolutely my favorite place to eat Chinese. And I said, Phil, I don't know what you're doing, but if you want to train, I've got all the strongman stuff at my house. You can come on over tonight. We'll have a good workout. It'll be a good time if you've got the time to do it. He said, wow, that sounds pretty good. So I don't know. I want to say around 4 o'clock that night. This was lunchtime, of course, and around 4 o'clock I went back into town. I picked him up from the hotel. He jumped in my car, brought him over to my house, and we trained for, I'd say, 2-3 hours in my garage and out in my driveway. We just kind of talked, hung out. He told me some of his thoughts about the current state of strongman, talked about grip training and things like that. We did some tire flipping. He absolutely manhandled my, 700-pound tire or so.
That's
at
a
the
big
time,
tire.
I could probably flip that thing 5 times in a row. I think he flipped it 5 times, like, faster than I could flip 2. So, I mean, even several years removed from his championship year, he was still, like, extremely good at the tire flip. The next thing we tried was, I don't know if you've ever seen any pictures of my demolition club. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
Never even heard of it.
The demolition, dude. We're opening up some pages of my book of life that you've never read before.
That's interesting.
The demolition club was given to me by, I believe, John Menino, and if that's not right, I'm going to feel really, really bad. But basically, it's an artillery shell with a giant steel handle on it. And in 2010, this is right when, like, club bells were coming out and mace swinging was kind of at a peak for that time. And
sure,
my demolition club was made out of that artillery shell, weighs like 89 pounds. And it has no ball on the end like other club bells and maces and stuff like that. So it's really hard to swing. So we brought that out, and I'm able to swing it. I was able to get 2 reps the night that Phil Pfister was there. He wasn't able to swing it. It was the first time he ever tried club swinging, though. So I wouldn't expect anybody to be able to swing a club the first time the demolition club the first time they swung clubs. I mean, it's 89 pounds, and the heaviest one that I know of aside from that is probably like 50. There could be heavier ones out there, though. Then, so we did some stuff outside. Then we came inside because it was getting, it's fall time. It was getting dark. We came inside, and we started doing some grip stuff. And I don't remember everything that we did, but I know we got the Euro out. And I think I said something like, I have the world record on this. Would you like to try this out? And he's like, well, I can't promise anything. I was like, no pressure at all. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to challenge him or, show him how strong I was. I really expressed to him that it was probably the most popular lift in grip sport. I talked to him about how, the story of it, the history of it, how it's adjustable and things like that. So I think at the time I was pinching on 54 millimeters, so we didn't change widths or anything. We just did 54. And I did, I believe, 247 that day. He was not able to lift 247. I think he might have broken it off the ground, but he wasn't able to lift it. So all of that story right there is to show that without knowing proper technique, a professional, strongest man in the world was not able to beat a grip guy that does know the technique. So
sure,
that kind of shows you how important technique really is. And if Brian Shaw were to attempt the two-hand pinch, I am sure that he would have an outstanding two-hand pinch, probably the highest two-hand pinch that has ever been done the first time in competition by a guy. I don't know that he would be able to break the world record. I mean, the world record now is like 274 and some odd pounds. I just don't know if he'd be able to do it without any training and without awareness of technique. Does that make sense?
It does. And Mike Rinderly was the one who mentioned if he literally said if he spent 3 months learning the technical aspects of the grip lift. So he qualified his statement before he went on to remark about that. Yeah, whereas the previous ones, and there was only a brief few, were kind of a contention that he would smoke it. But but yeah, things kind of started escalating after that. But that was kind of the contention, though, was that he would, certain things would require some specific training.
Yeah. So like, and if you, I think Brian actually leaves some strength on the table when it comes to blob lifting, because there's some stuff that I generally teach people that even I've talked about with you in the past, where you can situate your grip in a certain way on blobs and hex blocks, where you can automatically probably get like 5 pounds more strength out of the lift than if you just plop your hand on the center of the blob and lift. And that's pretty much what I've seen that Brian Shaw does.
I caught that too. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just puts his hand on top of it and squeezes. So
it's haphazard.
He's actually leaving some strength on the table, and it goes to show you how little of a test of strength those are for him. So, that's something to consider as well. And I can totally see Mike Rinderly saying that about the value of having 3 months of training under your belt, because I recently just helped Mike with some technical stuff with pinch of his that enabled him to pinch 245s for the first time ever. So some stuff that even he, with 10 years experience in this, wasn't aware of. So if we kept Brian in the dark and he didn't Google and didn't get any products, I think there's a chance that grip guys could beat him in a contest with the right events. Now, if you throw a bunch of thick bar stuff in there, like Rolling Thunder, Axle, an inch dumbbell medley, stuff like that, we're all screwed. It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry. He's gonna destroy us. But like you said, with grippers, maybe he tries to close a gripper and he chews up half his palm. With like some of the lifts that we've seen Jerome absolutely dominate, like the key pinch and things like that, double key pinch. I don't know that Brian could do as well in those types of lifts. Like the stub, I think, would humble him, just because his fingers and his thumbs are so big and so thick. I bet he wouldn't be able to get the optimal grip on there that some of the smaller-handed individuals can get. So
it's a diminishing returns thing.
Yeah. When you're dealing with that much tissue, that causes the bone and the hardest spot of the finger to be a lot higher off of that flat face of the stub, the hub, etc. So you're working against, some mechanical things there. So I mean, what a great discussion. I think it's awesome. Like I said, I haven't read it, but I mean, does Brian Shaw have a chance in any grip contest that he signs up for? Absolutely.
Oh yes, no doubt.
Does he automatically break all the records? It's going to depend on the events. Like, I don't see him doing too well in the moon top at King Kong, personally.
Oh really? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those ones that could be up in the air. Let's put it that way.
I'd have gone a different way on that one.
Really?
Well, just based on the ease that he could lift, and this is a different thing entirely, and I know that, but he picks up those shallow, those basically plates that shouldn't be hubbable, right?
Yeah.
He picks those things up with weight added, and to me, it's not the same, but the similarity is there enough. And but just the other things that we've seen him, I think he'd do really good at that. That was mine.
You could be right. You could be right.
But
you could definitely be right. I've never seen him do like any Euro or a loadable pinch, like a flask. I don't recall ever seeing him do anything like that. I wonder if maybe the 57, 58 millimeter width could be a hindrance for him on one-hand pinch, especially because he uses technique that's very raw. It's not optimized. So I could see him missing some, leaving some weight on the table, like with the blobs. And again, just assuming that he does no training for it. Okay, with 3 months of training and a phone call with me, I could have him definitely. Racking up his numbers, but I don't know. I mean, look, dude. He's an absolute freak. His hands are massive, and he's done weights in things like farmers walks and stuff like that many of us will never come even close to. So he's extremely strong on top of his genetic gifts. So he would have a chance in any contest that he signed up for. If it was the right events and you had a grip specialist go there that has trained those events for months or maybe years, I think the grip specialist could pull the victory out. But they'd have to have, I mean, it would have to be somebody with like the thick bar of a Tanner Merkel for it to happen, because Tanner is so good at so many things that I think he might be able to hang with Brian Shaw. But then the more I think about that, I don't know. I can't remember what Tanner's one-hand pinch is on the flask. So, I'm thinking about the events.
It's good.
Is that okay?
It's
well,
up there.
That's good. I'm thinking about the events for King Kong right now. Crusher, flask, one-hand flask, moon top, and the jug handle. I mean, Brian wouldn't have a problem with the jug handle. He'd probably pull 300 pounds on that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him winning every contest. He might be good enough, just raw horsepower, to win King Kong, though. Now that I think about it, very interesting topic.
Well, yeah, we don't, and all we ever catch from him too is these little blips here and there. Like up until you referenced his more recent video with regards to grip, where he had Brian Alsrew out there and his crew from Never Say It Athletics. They were coming out for a collaboration. They were going to be doing some running an adaptive strongman competition, I believe. And I actually didn't know Brian Shaw had an inch dumbbell, let alone two.
Yeah.
So he's got the goodies.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see a Euro sitting in the corner or anything like that, but he's got some stuff, So,
Right.
it's just it's hard to say. You never know what he's working on, I mean, but the interest is clearly there, though.
Yeah.
For him to be buying a 145-pound dumbbell and whacking the end off of it, he he's looking to challenge himself. That's an understatement. So
yeah.
But yeah, well, you never know. It would be that would be an awesome thing if something like that ever happened. The unfortunate thing, it'd be great to see him come to something like Living Legends coming up, right? But the reality is the odds of something like that lining up with whatever his schedule would be, right? And then the things that he would stand to gain from it. It's just it's hard to get a person like that to even have an interest in going to something like that, unless it's across the street from their house,
Sure.
So he'd have more invested in the trip and time off and everything. The time he might have to take away from his training to get there for what he's saying to get out of it. Unfortunately, but a cool thing anyway.
There's travel. I mean, he's got a family, and his program or his training is probably programmed out. I don't know, maybe 6 months in advance, if not longer. So all that stuff where you see him going to do collaborations and things like that, they probably planned that back in 2017 for all I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree.
I don't see him getting hurt in a grip contest. I don't think the weights are nearly heavy enough to cause him any problems, at least not in his, no hernias, no back injuries, no pulled groins. Maybe something could go wrong with a bicep, because I know that he does have an injury history of a torn bicep. I witnessed him tear his bicep on the log at the Arnold back in, I believe, 2012. So,
right.
Or it might have been 2013. But, and that may be, just that right there may be reason enough for him to say, yeah, it's just not worth it to me. Because if he goes and he tears something like a biceps or a rotator cuff or something like that is definitely possible, that's going to set back his training who knows how long in strongman. And that could mean, I mean, I don't know how much money Brian makes at these competitions. I mean, that could be $50,000 goes down the drain just because of one injury at a grip contest. So I think the chances of ever seeing him doing one would be really slim. Unless it was
endorsements and everything. He could stand to be out way more than that. Yeah. It could be an obscene amount of money. Yeah,
it would be
livelihood, really.
Yeah, like you said, it would be like a dream to go to compete against him. I mean, just having the chance to train with Lane Snook over to Dubai earlier this year was a dream for me, to go up against someone that was as strong as Lane. And to use him as an example, I don't know what Lane does on the Flask. I don't know what Lane does on the Euro. I'm not sure that I've ever seen him even try those. I can't remember if we did that when I was over in Dubai. I think he tried the old school Yorks pinch and wasn't able to get him, but Better has an extremely hard set of old school Yorks. So, I mean, it's not even close to the same feat. It's way beyond the feat that I'm able to do with my old school Yorks, because mine are very old and seasoned, and Better's are not. So,
sure.
That's something else to think about as well. I would say that Lane is fairly close to some of the numbers that Brian can put up. I don't know. Lane couldn't get the 30 kilo heavy grip tools or whatever blob that was out there. Could Brian do it? Who knows? It'd be interesting to see.
It would be. It would be. Yeah. He's got such monstrous hands. I think somebody said his hands were like 9 inches or something like that. So.
Dude, that's not much bigger than my hands.
Oh, okay. Well,
go ahead.
It's hopefully, at some point he's gonna hang it up, right? He's gonna decide, strongman's over. I don't know if hopefully he wins that 5th and gets tied as he's right up there at the top with the what was that guy's name? Putinowski, is that his name? Mm-hmm. The only guy that has a 5. Well, hopefully he gets there, and then maybe you could see him at something like this, or catch him at one of those fit expos. Who knows, something. I think he's done some of that stuff in the past, but I mean that would just be awesome to see something like that.
Oh yeah,
that's the only way you'd ever find out. Otherwise, it's strictly speculation. What we need. This would be an awesome thing. How cool would it be if some of these things, you're always seeing things get sent to people, right? How awesome would it be if Gil, because Brian Shaw, for example, has put out these challenges with the hub, and with the plate pitching, and we've always seen just Gil Goodman, use him as an example. He's always answered these challenges right back. How cool would it be for him to whip up a flask, send it out? Where does Brian Shaw live, in Colorado?
I think so.
Anyway, get him one and say, give this thing a shot. Something. I mean, it'd be awesome if somebody was to come along and do something like that. Anything, pick it, hub, you name it, just see.
Well,
might get them to do it on video.
We have a Napalm's Nightmare that's extra large, like extra long, bare bones piece, like the base unit, and then extra long handles, because we figured his hands were pretty thick. They might not fit on the normal handles. We've actually got it already set up for him, and I messaged him on Instagram, and I never heard back from him. So I wanted to get him a Napalm's Nightmare as a gift, because he did several grip challenges earlier this year, and I think that really increased the awareness of grip as an individual discipline. So I thought it would be pretty cool to send him that. I mean, I wholeheartedly feel the Napalm's Nightmare is the best grip, thick grip handle on the market. So I wanted to get him one, and it was going to be just merely a gift. So I'm right with you there with sending him stuff, and see what you can do on this and give him the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So no, I think that would be great. Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a way to actually reach out to some of these guys, because I subscribed. I was like a donor to Juji Mufu's channel or whatever like that, thinking that it's like gets you into a little community, and you're under the impression like you get to do chats with these guys and stuff.
Yeah.
And in the end, it just turns into a pit for you to throw money into, because you still can't reach anybody. You're just on a different side of it, where you're just putting funds into the bank. You're not any further than you were. So I wish it actually unlocked a door where you could talk to them somehow, but unfortunately, those things just don't work.
Well, what's funny is, as you're saying that, I just remembered that I think I actually have Brian Shaw's email address, because when I was in Mighty Mitts in 2010 and 2012, Jan and Terry, God rest his soul, they would send out emails on occasion to us to let us know about the rules, the events, schedule changes, things like that. And I think Brian's email is in there, because all of our emails were lumped in together with the Strongman Championship guys. And I never thought about that until right now. So I might have to dig into the annals of my Gmail, which I never delete anything, and see if I can find his email address.
Yeah, well, hopefully your email works different than mine does, because some of my stuff seems to get archived, and then it's almost like buried. You can't find it. It's like some automated thing that they do for whatever reason.
Do you
just lose Gmail? It if it's been in there for too long. I have a Gmail, but that's not my main one. I use Yahoo's one, and it's just weird.
You messed up there.
Yeah, probably.
I think I got Gmail back in 2006, and the only thing that I've deleted is like marketer emails. So that's obviously I've deleted emails, but it's stuff that I would absolutely never use. If it's like any email that I have with a customer or something like that, I still have those emails, and I'm always walking a thin line. Like I'm always 99% full on my, 15 gigs of free allotment that you get with Gmail, and I'm always at 99% full. So I have to be careful, and then I have to go in and I have to go into the different tabs and find stuff, delete stuff with attachments, that are too large, things like that. But You know, as far as those key emails that could mean something later on, I don't ever delete them. But
Sure.
yeah, it's a good topic, dude. I can understand how that would be controversial as well, just knowing how, you know, people get a strong feeling, opinion about things on the grip board, and they share their thoughts freely. So I bet it's a very entertaining read to go in there and check that out.
Yep. It's worth a look. So, all right.
Cool. Well, let's. I'll tell you what, Alan. Let's go ahead and wrap that up. I think we've exhausted that topic. Why don't you take it away for this episode, and then we'll be back again with another one.
All right. Okay, guys. That's episode 61 of This Week in Grip. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. What would happen if Brian Shaw did ever decide to take up the sport of grip? How you think he'd do? And we'll talk to you again with another one shortly. See you later.